I think there's a debate out there as to what the core function is. And unless you can decide as a society what your core function of government is, you can't adequately and properly fund it. And there's just, government's gotten so out of control with all these different programs that it's impossible to keep up with now. And that's what happens with big government. You can't keep up with it. If I were giving advice to someone who wanted to get involved and really get involved, I would ask to be on committees. I would ask to be on notice for these committees, because there are different notice periods. Conference committees in some cases are as short as 6 hours notice. But if you're on those notice lists, you get, every time that committee meets or that subcommittee meets, you get a notice that's going to happen. And if you want to really get in and dig into it and be a part of those meetings, that's how you can get involved.
What's the name of that?
It's a notice. What you do is you call, if you get a citizen guide, I don't know if you all have citizen guide, if you don't, you can get it online through the MichiganLegislature.org. You can see who these committee chair people are. And if you contact their office, you can just ask them, say, I'm very interested in your subcommittee on agriculture. Can you put me on your committee notice list? And when that email blast goes out for the next meeting, you'll get one too. It works pretty well since the internet is out there and a part of this. But it's not easy, and legislators don't even keep up with it. In fact, most legislators don't know what's in these particular budgets until it gets to their caucus. It really takes a while for it to happen and come into the caucus so that they can have a group discussion about it. So, yes.
Let me also follow up. MichiganLegislature.org is, if you go to that page and go down, at the bottom is links to the Michigan House and Michigan Senate, and you can get to the committees, and you can sign up right there online, and I get notices from committees I'm interested in, and my own, just to make sure that they're doing it right. And so you can sign up, put your email address, and you can get it, a notice. But Mike, I don't know if you were here, but I was talking about how exciting it is that the governor is talking about outcomes, and what you said, priorities, outcomes, how are we going to measure, and I really think that is going to be, I think the governor's office, or Brian Calley, the lieutenant governor, they are trying to figure this out, and I think if you can be an encouragement to them, I think that I don't know if they have department scorecards yet, I don't think they do, where they're measuring yet. You could be a part of that, I think. Honestly, once you see what they're measuring, you can start figuring out if you think that that's the right measurements, if it's going the right direction, how do I know these are true numbers? I really think that he is mapping out the way that we can really get engaged, because it is about, are we getting the best bang for our buck? What are our priorities? Is this the right measurement? Is it going in the right, those are where we want to be, and I don't think government typically wants that. Like Mike said, the more obfuscation and the more difficult it is, just people blur and go away. And so I'm encouraged by what the governor is leading us toward, and I think that the legislature will agree with it. You have, and then I'll get to you. Yeah.
It just seems that we're really talking about snipping the edges here of a government that's been out of control in this state probably 2 decades, because there was always enough money to throw more onto the fire. What Mike was doing, during his past session was, this is if there was a Heisman Trophy for a 150-pound defensive lineman, this would be it. We have huge cries of foul when all we were doing at times was slowing their expansion of the government. And it didn't really matter what or how severe or how minor an issue it was, the hue and cry was the same. And I think that's what we're missing here, is that we're saying, well, we're being reasonable about this whole situation. So obviously they'll understand eventually.
Right.
And it doesn't work that way. If we really believe in the one opinion that we all have, that government isn't the solution, it's the problem, then we have to start, going way back to a rollback situation and locking this down. We can't just snip out, an excessive bridge here, or a minor, why are they doing the handicap ramps for the third time on this piece of road when the potholes are as big as the aisleway here? We need to look at the overall issue of, massive issues of getting back to a standard core of what the government function is. No matter what we do, the hue and cry is going to be the same. So if we really believe in these principles, then let's act on them.
Well, I agree. I'm interested in not just holding the line, but reclaiming lost ground for a limited government, smaller government point of view. That's what I'm arguing for. That's what I've been arguing for some time. Part of it, it's no easy task, but part of it is reshaping the focus around of the debate. Changing the way in which the conversation takes place. You did that through the Tea Party activity during the election last year, but it's an ongoing thing. The battle has to be fought in Lansing, to be sure, but also in your editorial pages in your local papers, at school board meetings, at local government meetings, asking questions there about expenditures. I'm one of my rules of government and politics is that the more mundane or more boring a particular subject is, the more important it is. Monitoring government can be a very dry thing at times, but we need more hands. And more eyes and more ears and more people out there doing that.
We just have to let the legislators know that playing it safe and keeping their heads down is not the safe place to be.
Yeah.
That the only safe place to be is taking dramatic action and getting dynamic results.
Well, I agree with you, sir. I do. I think there's greater risk in doing the same old than there is in taking bold action. You heard it in the previous session about the importance of being bold and reshaping the political conversation everywhere.
How many people were shell-shocked from all of the recall mania that was going on for years there, and that they would never want to have even a press release, with their name on it, for fear that somebody would be running around with a petition to recall them. The recalls are going to be from the people that are standing still and not making these dramatic reversals of the government.
Well, and I will say in Lansing, we certainly are getting marched upon and